is it?
This is Leeds.
Yeah, it is. That's your hometown, that, yeah?
Mate,
The Lake District.
Leeds has never looked so good. Like, it's crazy what a little bit of sunshine can do.
Right, gleaming. Wow. No, that's very pretty.
Nice place. But yeah, we tried to do this about 7 hours ago, didn't we? And then
Yeah,
the
tried to.
connection was shit. It's funny though.
Yeah,
I've not slept since we tried it. Like,
oh
I've
wow.
not,
We
I've
tried it
not.
at like 3 a.m. your time, dude.
Yeah, I've been awake since 3 a.m. I was
Nice.
I was battling with my own existential thoughts at 4 a.m. Then I ordered
Yeah.
coffee at 6 a.m. Then I went to a park which had a crocodile. Then I went to the gym. Then I did a live stream. Now I'm doing another one. So it's been a good day. It's been a good day so far.
Yeah, it has. When's the last time you slept, my man? Gotta be.
Oh, mate, I can't remember. I think the last
Hey, who
time that
needs
I
sleep?
slept, yeah, sometime in Leeds, man. Mad.
Sometimes. Yeah.
But how's Panama anyway?
Yeah, Panama is great. I guess I'll recap what I said in my dodgy live stream 7 hours ago. Panama is phenomenal. Yeah, aside from just the physical things, the weather, the sights, the architecture is very nice here. But what I was saying is the thing that caught my attention, the very first thing that caught my attention here was the comfortability aspect of just people in general. So, what I told you privately was the first restaurant I went to, we were at like this rooftop bar, and these gorgeous waitresses walking around, and they're just brushing on everybody, not intentionally, but if you go to the United States, it's like there's a bubble around every single person. It seems that we're so scared to touch each other, and like for there to be any physical contact with people that we don't know or that we're not related to, because in fear maybe of being called, a harasser or something along those lines. Okay, something's messing up. Is that me? There we go. We're back.
Yeah.
We're back. Oh, fuck. I'm worried now.
It sounded like you were like getting
Dude,
strangled underwater.
I didn't know what that was. I think I was drowning for a
What do
second.
you mean, is it you? Stop me!
That's gotta be, huh? What'd you call this one? Making it as natural as drinking water. Look, I was just giving them a preview, all right?
That's how you do it,
That's what's to come.
man.
That's how you
Speaking
attract
fucking
girls,
Wookiee.
dude. I walk up and I go, "Goo, goo, goo." I start gargling in my own spit.
That's like some Chewbacca game.
You know what I will say though? That's like 10 times better than the connection we had earlier. So I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take
it is.
intermittent gargling. But yeah, just the fact that people are so comfortable with touching each other, with being close, with just closeness in general. Like it almost illustrates the fabric of the culture in general. People are just okay with being intertwined with each other, and not only just the touching aspects, but I remember the first night I went over to this pool bar with my dad, and we're sitting out in the smoking area outside, and we've just got people that I just met, girls around, just jumping from table to table. Like she'll sit with us, we'll have a conversation, and then she'll run over to the next table and sit down with them and play dominoes with them. And it's so cool seeing how connected everybody is. Whereas in the States, like people are so fearful of meeting strangers and walking up to their table and, hey, can I play? Whereas here, that's just the norm. So that's my very first takeaway from Panama so far, and I'm really loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it illustrates that environment is everything. You know, I think if you want your conversations to feel as natural as drinking water, then you want to position yourself in an environment where it is normal. Like it's just a way of life. It was like when I was in Rio and guys were asking me what I do for a job, they just laughed in my face. They're like, "Wait, that's a job. We've been talking to people since we were in diapers." So like it really
Yeah.
is environment. I think by positioning yourself in a culture where spontaneous conversation is normal, that then gives you the permission to actually, I think, live in accordance with your nature as well. Because I think that's what we want to do as human beings. I think in the West, face to face has become vilified, online has become normalized. That's not a
Yeah.
normal way of existing. Like we want to have
Yeah.
these face to face conversations, but I think actually being able to integrate yourself into the culture, hopefully you'll be able to take some of that back to the States. You think you'll be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the plan. I've been trying to be as social as humanly possible out here with that in mind, hoping that some of that social culture rubs off on me. so that when I'm at a bar, when I'm at a club in the States, I feel comfortable enough to do exactly that. Because, like, what if we really think about it? Like, what is the problem with walking over and sparking conversation? Like, that is why people go out, is in order to be social, in order to meet new people. But like you said, because online has become so normalized, it's like we've forgotten that it's more normal to say hi in person than it is to start a text thread or start an Instagram DM thread. And out here, it's shown me that, yeah, people, I mean, I've only been here 4 or 5 days, so I'm sure there's plenty more for me to see and learn. But yeah, it seems as though people kind of ditch the online stuff out here. And like, I'm not seeing a lot of people on their phones when I'm out at all. They're really like, they're really in the moment, and they're really involved with the people that they're with and they're talking to. And most importantly, like I said, that they're open to having conversations with new people. It's like I felt right at home when I came here, partially because I speak a bit of their language, and like just a bit is all I need. I come in, I say the few phrases that I know, and they treat me like I'm family here. It's wild. The bars, and the first night, funny enough, I met a group of friends out here. There was like four of us. Oh, and I was talking about this on my live. My dad was part of the group. Like, me and my dad were playing pool at this little pool bar, and they literally just created a circle of chairs with us included, and they're including my dad in the conversation like everything was normal. And it honestly, like, that felt really good for me, just to see him be able to interact with like younger generations, and them not treat him as like isolated and weird and old. Because when I go out with my dad in the States, like, that's what I experience, is there's kind of like a social bubble around us sometimes if we're in a venue with younger people, because they don't know how to interact with older generations. And but out here, it was just so normal. It was just young people mixing with old people, and old people talking to young people, and we're all just this kaleidoscope of energy, and it's the coolest thing ever. So but yeah, to answer your question, I that is the goal, absolutely, to bring this kind of energy back to the States with me. And I'm just glad that I'm gathering more and more experiences, honestly, because I feel as though each country is just, it's rubbing off on me, and I'm going to be able to bring what I learn back to where I live, just like Cyprus.
Yeah, I think experience is key. I think experience comes with positioning yourself in those new environments. I think we both echo the importance of travel, especially solo
Yeah,
travel. I know you're traveling with family at the moment, but when you worked with me in Warsaw,
yeah,
that was a solo expedition. I mean, I was just some random fucker on the internet. You were
yeah,
that was your first time out of the country. It really was a leap of faith. You know,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
even Cyprus as well. Like it just expands your consciousness. You actually get to experience new culture, especially if you're in a culture where face to face spontaneous conversation it's normalized. Like you've heard like the whole you're the average of the five people you spend the most time with. Well, I think if you put yourself in the environment, it's like it elevates that 100x because like every single
Yeah,
person in that environment is that person. So it's like it's like herd mentality, but in a good way. It's like you become that version of you who is more social because that's just a way of life there. But I think herd
yeah,
mentality in the States or even the UK, especially in London, the UK is a little bit different because up north people are a little bit they are more friendly, a bit warmer. But even so, I think a lot of people in the UK are castrated of confidence because of this whole like, oh, strangers, don't talk to strangers. Like that's how we're brought up as well. Oh, don't talk to strangers. And it's like, I don't think that's a good way of living.
yeah.
What? Just,
You know,
go on.
yeah. Before you ask, I was just gonna add on top of that. I think that this skill set, the building of this skill set, was absolutely integral to my success in other countries. Because, yeah, I was thinking about this, and it's I use like 5 to 10% of my superpower, if we want to call it that, to go and open groups of people when I'm out. It's like that is so easy mode for me because I've done the hardest thing, which is go up to the girl in broad daylight with people looking at me. And I think that that's like the fact that we build this skill, like the emphasis is on this skill, makes everything else, makes the face-to-face interaction when we're out at night venues and just anywhere, honestly, it makes it 10 times easier. Like, I feel as though like, if this was a spectrum, I feel like I built the hardest portion of the social skills first, which was us working together in Poland. And that has opened up so many doors for me. And created so many relationships. And like I never would have been able to say that I could fly to a new country, go out with my dad, and make a group of 4 friends from Panama, from one guy was from Denver, one person from Argentina, and just like this random group of people all started because my dad and I were the ones sitting there being social and inviting people into the fun and creating the fun, more importantly. But I didn't like, even he even told me that personally. He's like, yeah, ever since you got back from Poland, there's just been this like this echelon of confidence that you've leveled up, and he can hear it in the way that I present myself and the way that I interact with everybody that's around me. And so yeah, I think if we're making talking to girls as natural as drinking water, like it makes everything else as natural as drinking water also, you know?
Yeah, I think that mantra that I often cite, cold approach being the catalyst for the rest of your life, it is so
That's
true.
it.
Um, but I think it's one of those where it's impossible to relate with that or understand it unless you're actually living it.
Yeah.
All the conversations that we have, the fancy little phrases that we use, it doesn't actually hit deep until you actually start living it. And I think that's when your entire reality is just blown open. It's like you get to see a new side of the world, which has almost been hidden for you or hidden from you. And I think it's a skill which unlocks the world. But I think the most important, I think probably the most practical thing is it it gives you permission to just talk to everybody. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you become more excited to win than you're scared to lose. And it's like, oh, here's a new opportunity to connect with somebody. Like, not everyone's gonna like you, but I think cold approach gives you that emotional resilience. Like, no matter what, I can handle it. Oh, those people, they maybe didn't like me, or that girl wasn't into me, or that date didn't go too well. That's okay. There's more opportunities on the horizon. I
Yeah.
was just was going to. Do you want to say something?
Sure. Yeah. Well, well, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll save mine.
I was just curious because when you do go back to the States, what do you think is going to be the main roadblocks into, let's say, maintaining this social flow, because the cultures are different. So
Yeah.
just looking ahead to the future, what do you think the roadblocks are going to be when you return home, and how do you plan on overcoming those? Because I think the reason why I ask is because I think a lot of guys, they'll travel to a new place, they have this honeymoon experience where, oh my god, approaching girls feels as natural as drinking water, but then they go home and it's like they return to the version of them who they left as. It's like they're going back into that
That's it.
identity again. So yeah, how do you think you're going to manage that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was actually thinking about this earlier. I think that when I say rub off on me, I really truly mean that. Like I'm going to try to bring this what I've learned, because I am like learning through this stuff. I'm learning as I live. And and I'm learning out here that it's okay to for like friendly touches and to initiate conversation in random ways, like things that I probably wouldn't have done in the States because I'm more structured when I'm back home. I'm better at it now, but even still, I'm thinking of it as like, okay, I'm going out, I see pretty girl, like here's what I usually say, here are the things that I can say. Whereas here, like I'm out and people just open each other and it's so normal. It's not an open, it's just me saying words to another human, like that's what I'm seeing out here. So I think the biggest roadblocks for me are gonna be the the cultural tension, I guess we could say, is the difference in mentality. Is out there everybody seems to be so closed off from each other and uh, so fearful of interacting with people because they fear of the unknown, fear of being detached from their phone, which they're so used to holding in their hand even when they're out in public. So I think that that'll be, yeah, one of the bigger hurdles for me to get over. And also, something interesting out here is that the language barrier almost seems to be working in my favor too. That's what I found when I've traveled a bit, is that there's kind of like there's an interest level for tourists, for people that are not from the country. Whereas like in a roadblock I think I'll bring home with me is that there's less substance, there's less conversational substance when I'm going in for approaches or when I'm opening people, because I'm from the area. So whereas here, all I have to say is, hi, hey, I'm from the United States, and all of a sudden, like there's a topic of conversation. I think back home I'll have to be a bit more creative with how I start conversations, and but yeah, I think those are going to be the biggest hurdles for me to work through. once I go back, which will be in a few days. So we'll see how that goes. I kind of want to stay, honestly. I want to stay here for a lot longer.
Yeah, that's like me. It's like me being here, man. I'm here for 3.5 weeks, and then
What's the culture like? What have you found are the cultural differences out there? Because I've never been in Asia.
wow, cultural differences. Fucking hell. I mean, everything. It's just like the biggest culture shock. Like if you've never been to Asia before, if you've never been to Thailand, like you'll just get the shock of your life. It's really difficult to explain unless you've been here. It's like if you've
Mm.
been to somewhere like Thailand, you just understand it. It's like the streets are just filled with people like selling food. There's people trying to sell you shit everywhere. There's people living in these like little huts, and they've got like the best phones ever, but like they live in these like little huts, and you're getting catcalled by women on the street to like, oh, come in for a massage. Like, oh, you handsome, come in for a massage, and it's like it almost. I
Wow.
think because Bangkok is very seedy place. It's almost like anything goes, but like in a good way. I think in Bangkok you can be anybody who you want to be. Like the city doesn't give a fuck about who you've been in the past. I think it's a really amazing city to be able to recreate yourself. Like come here, even if you only come here for like 3 weeks. I think it just. I remember when I first came here in 2018. Bangkok might have been ready for me, but I was not ready for Bangkok. Like I wasn't the person that I needed to be yet to navigate this city, and yeah, I just wasn't ready. But I've been really surprised this time round. I feel as though the city's mine now. I feel as though I'm able to dominate the city because of the person who I've become. I think definitely through
Mm.
this process, a cold approach, it's like when you we don't typically notice the progress until someone else notices it. It's like you
Yeah.
could be slaving your bollocks off at the gym for a year and you're not noticing the incremental progress. But then if a family member hasn't seen you for a year, they're like, wow, you've gotten big. But because you're seeing
Mm.
yourself every single day, you don't notice it. So it's like by going to a city and then returning to that city like 3 or 4 years later, and then like comparing one version of you to a new version of you, it's allowed me this time round like the integration of everything just feels way more effortless. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been surprised with how much I'm enjoying it. Like it's like Joseph always says to me, go where you're valued. Yeah, go
Yeah.
go to the place where you're valued. I feel truly valued out here in Bangkok. It's what you were speaking about there, leveraging rarity, right? Like
Mm.
leveraging rarity. You've got the foreign factor that you're leveraging when you're in Panama, so it creates nice conversations. Yeah, like the girls, they're not seeing someone like you every day. It was the same when you're in Warsaw. It's
Right.
the same when you're in Cyprus. Again, that's what makes connecting with people as natural, as effortless as drinking water. Is actually when you can leverage that rarity. So, like, if you're from the United States, positioning yourself in Eastern Europe or Asia, somewhere where they don't see someone like you every day, you've got conversations till the cows come home. So, yeah, I think environment's everything. Positioning yourself in an environment where you can leverage rarity. And then when you go somewhere new, just going all in that place. Like, don't stay in your apartment all day being like a little bitch. Like, oh, I'm scared. Well, yeah, that's the whole point. Like, you need to dive bomb into discomfort. So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that
You know
rarity aspect's
what's
important.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting about that, about the staying in the hotel, staying in your apartment. I was thinking about this earlier. So I was playing pool with my dad earlier, right after we tried our failed live stream, and I went in for an approach as I was walking over to the local McDonald's. Surprise, surprise! To get myself a large fries and barbecue sauce, and and standing right there was this stunning girl, um, tan, curly hair, just gorgeous. And I remember I walked right over, introduced myself. Turns out, I was speaking to her in Spanish, but turns out she's from Boston. Go figure. And but the reason I'm introducing this character into the live stream is because we had a great conversation. So great that she even suggested we meet up later today, um, and and go on some sort of a date, and which I was happily agreeing to. And but the reason I'm bringing this up is all all night, right? I've been looking at my phone, waiting. I've already shot her a text on WhatsApp, and I've been checking it, hoping she replies, hoping that we can get something set up. And yeah, she hasn't even read the message. And I remember I got home. This is right before I just hopped on your live stream that you were doing a few minutes ago, and I was thinking about how I felt like this roller coaster of emotions. Like like this spike of hope and excitement and like, oh my god, I have a date lined up, like let's go. And then I felt like this quick dip of like, oh, she never opened my message, she's not responding. I've been through this 100 million times before. And but I was thinking about this, and I sadness isn't the right word, just like disappointment maybe. But I was comparing this to who I used to be. And who I used to be was the guy that I would have walked to the McDonald's to get the fries. I would have seen the gorgeous girl on the corner, and I would have thought to myself, like, wow, I want to go over to her. I wish I could make something happen with her. And then I would have just walked right in, walked right past her, walked right into McDonald's and never thought about it again. And although I had this roller coaster of emotions where it was like, oh, maybe something's gonna happen. Oh, oh no, she's not replying. I 10 times prefer that fun, like emotional roller coaster over that static straight line feeling that I used to move through life with, which was seeing all of these girls that I wish I could make something happen with, but being too scared to go over. So there was no hope that something could happen, and there was no emotional disappointment when they didn't reply because I never spoke to them at all. And so, yeah, I guess I just bring this story up because it's funny that even in the moments where I feel a bit disappointed and I was like, "Oh, I thought I had a date lined up today and I was so excited about it." Like the fact that I'm feeling something, it it I so much prefer that to where I used to be in life, which was feeling nothing, just feeling I guess I was feeling just solitude. I was feeling loneliness. I was feeling like I was feeling like I was incapable of making things happen. And that feeling was so much worse than the girl getting my hopes up and then not replying, you know? So I don't know. I figured I'd throw that in there because what you were saying just now about going to a new location and staying in your apartment, that reminded me of that story there and that comparison.
Yeah, I think it's going from a static spectator to an active player. And
Yeah.
when you do start playing on the field, there are going to be undesirable outcomes that happen. I actually think this day game thing, it it really helped me manage the emotion of desire. Like desire being, oh, I want this outcome, and if I don't get it, then I'm gonna be unhappy. There's a really good
Mm,
quote which is, desire is a contract we make with ourselves to be unhappy until we get what it is that we want. And I think with this process,
mm,
you're always chasing a dragon to some degree. It's like, oh, I really want to approach, then you can approach. I really want to carry a conversation, then you can carry a conversation. It's, oh, I hope I can get numbers, then you start getting numbers. Oh, I hope this girl replies, then she replies. Oh, I hope I can get, and it just keeps shifting. So
yeah.
I don't really think there's any sort of when you feel as though you've made a connection with somebody and you never hear from them again, that just sucks. Like, there's no amount of
Yeah.
like motivational talk. It's just you just have to go through that.
Yeah.
To be honest now, the mindset that I've got is it's like making sales, right? The sale is not done until the sale has been made. And I
Mm,
notice with a lot of beginners when they're completely new to this, they're getting like super elated when they finally get the contact details. And I'm like the devil and the angel on the shoulder, like, dude, let's see if she responds first. Let's go and do some more approaches rather than
yeah.
celebrating this one number that probably is not going to respond to you anyway. So
They think that's their
I think
girlfriend
it's
now.
yeah, yeah. I think it's important to burst that bubble of fantasy quickly because I think, especially when guys are new to this, they might get their first phone number in like the first few hours, and like they're really holding on to that one. It's like, dude, sorry to burst your bubble, but you're probably never going to see her again. Like, you know, the first handful of numbers you get, they're most likely just going to flake. That's fine. It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you just have this detachment after a while, but yeah, it still sucks. However, if she does come through, the dopamine is going to go through the roof. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
it's like, oh my
absolutely.
god, she's actually come through. Those are the
But
best.
the thing is, yeah, and it's funny you bring that up because yeah, I've experienced that like a number of times now already, where in different countries even where it's like, oh, is the girl going to respond? Even like Instagram model girl, I remember it's like, oh, am I going to get the date? Oh, am I going to get the phone number? Are we going to actually go on the date? So, but I don't know. There's something about that that I just maybe it's the chasing the dragon part, but there's something about it that I truly just love because the wins, like when the date actually happens, it feels 10 times better because there were five failed dates or there were five numbers that never responded prior to that. It's like if every girl that I got a phone number from actually wanted to go on a date with me, actually wanted to hang out, then that would be, that'd be perfect for my ego. But not only would there be no growth, but there would be no, like, it wouldn't be nearly as satisfying because I know the turmoil that I've had to go through in order to actually get onto the date and make it happen. And so, yeah, I don't know. I brought this story up to just to share that like I prefer being on this emotional roller coaster. Like even though I want there to be that emotional neutrality, like as you can see, I'm fine right now, but it's just it's there's a level of it just being fun personally that I think where it's fun to get a phone number and have her never respond to you again because you're like, I wonder how many it's gonna take for her to actually reply. Oh, I wonder how many it's gonna take to actually get the date going. It's kind of like a game in a way. So
I really like that point though. I think that's a really like I've always likened this to emotional blackjack. It's like you keep going to the
hmm,
table and
yeah,
but you're right though. We actually don't want to win every time. Otherwise
yeah,
it's boring.
right,
It's like playing like Halo on the easiest mode. It's like this is so boring. It's so easy. It's predictable. Like we
right,
don't want the predictability. We actually want to be able to go to the table and have no idea. Like we could win it all or we could lose it all.
yep,
That's what keeps it exciting. So it's like we actually don't want the things that we think we want. Like
yeah,
we think, oh, I wish every girl just gave the number. I wish I was like we don't know. Otherwise it would
yeah,
be so boring. There would be no
yeah,
fulfillment in that. Like obviously when it's going shit, yeah, we just want good things to happen. But yeah, it's a really interesting point that though. And I think that's a good mindset for everybody to have. Like you actually don't want it to be easy. You don't want it to be predictable. You actually don't want it to be effortless in a way because
yeah,
if it was so effortless, then first of all, everyone would be doing it. There would be no thrill and there would be no satisfaction when you actually get the dragon. You know,
yeah.
so I think that's a good point.
Yeah, part of it is the thrill, is the chase. Yeah, that I mean that is the reason why after every date that we go on, we still end up going in for more approaches the next day, the next week. It's because it's the chase that's always been the most fun portion of this. The result is just a byproduct of you honing the chase, of you getting better at the attempt to go up and do the approach. But yeah, the result is just a byproduct of that. But the actual fun in this, the true excitement in this is just the getting over your fear tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And me going in for that approach today with the world beyond me, thinking, oh my God, like, am I going to see this girl tonight? Are we going to meet up in Boston one day in the future, And then having it all crumble down. It's like, that's all part of the fun, And then I'm going to be back out there tomorrow doing the same thing.
Well, it's like when you had the experience with the Instagram model in
Yeah.
Cyprus.
Yeah, and I thought that she'd reply and that we'd have a date lined up, and then immediately, boom, plummeted. She didn't.
Yeah.
What'd she say? Oh, I'm busy now. And then a couple days later, I hit her up again, and boom, we're going on the date again. And then we're on the date, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not coming back with you. I'm going home." And it's just this cycle that makes it so fun. And yeah, like you say though, we don't actually want what we think we want because as soon as we get the result that we're chasing after, we realize, okay, like this was great and all, but honestly, I'm in it for the development. I'm in it for the growth. I'm in it for getting over my fear. It's like, yeah, I think that seems to be where I'm pulling most of my satisfaction from at this point, which is why that's why I think that's why I decided that I want to share the skill with as many people as possible because it was never the result. I mean, the result is great. Don't get me wrong. The byproduct of cold approaching would be getting the girl, getting the number, getting laid. Like that's all great. That's fun. But when I realized that the true fun was in the growth, was in the character development, that's when I decided this is worth sharing to everybody because everybody thinks they watch our content, they think, oh, the result is everything that I'm after right now. Like once I learn this skill, my life is going to be complete. And without realizing, no, there's like once you get this area of your life sorted, that's perfect. But then that now shines a light on every other area of your life that isn't sorted. Like that's kind of the position I'm in right now, where I'm back home, I'm killing it. Like I'm going on these dates. We had our previous live stream, I think a week ago or so, where I told you about the two dates I went on back to back, and it was a great time. And that makes my bucket, this bucket in this area of my life, filled. However, in I still need to find work now. So it's like that is my next highest priority on the list of priorities. So yeah, it's an interesting thought for sure.
Yeah, there was something that I was going to add there. What was it that you were just? Oh yeah, that was it. Like yeah, I learned a long time ago. Someone said to me once, it was a mentor of mine, and he said, sell people what they want and then give them what they need. So like what that means is when most guys get into this space, it's because usually their dating life sucks. They think that women are going to make them happy. So like you actually don't want to say to the guys, I don't think at the start, like, yeah, but like there's all these other things as well. Like
Mm,
this is gonna impact so much. Like when a guy is in that place of romantic desperation, he's not
yeah,
even ready to receive that information. He just wants to get girls. So like
right.
you sell him what he wants, right, bro? Like this is going to actually explode your dating life, which it does. But then the deeper he gets in it, you realize like it was never about the girls. It was all about your process, like you becoming the version of you who you need to be. Beautiful women are a beautiful byproduct of a beautiful life. But I think it all depends on where the guy is when he's receiving this information. Like if he's not been on a date for a year, all he wants to do is go on a date. And I think as someone who coaches this, that should be the focus. Like, let's
Yeah,
just get that side of life sorted. It's the whole like, a millionaire saying to you, money won't buy you happiness. Well, you need
yeah.
to experience that. Otherwise, it's just wanking in the wind. Well, fuck you, you prick. I've got no money to my name. I wanna know that. So yeah, sell people what they want and give them what they need. But I agree.
That's
This go on.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the process that you watch unfold before your eyes when we were in Poland. Was I flew out there. Well, prior to me flying out there, we were on that phone call, and I was telling you, yeah, like all I want right now is a solid dating life. All I want is the ability to do what I see you do in your infields. And then when we're out in Poland, you saw me go through the getting over the mountain of fear that I had for going in for my first approach, and I was oh my god, I was shaking. I was so scared that day. I can remember it like it was
Bus stop
yesterday.
girl.
Yeah, bus stop girl sitting down at the bench. Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday. And I remember that feeling that I had after I had done the first approach and I looked around and nothing happened and I was like, "Okay, so this is allowed, this is legal, this is possible." And then like at each day, just incrementally getting over my fear, incrementally doing more difficult approaches and things that I thought were, and then even in Cyprus, you watched it happen. Incrementally going up to girls that were in big groups, going up to a girl that was with her mom, and like all of these wild things that I thought were not even possible. But yeah, it must be cool for you to watch this literally unfold in front of your eyes for like dozens of guys throughout the course of your career. Because yeah, that's what I found is I get over the fear, but there's another fear waiting right behind it, and it's like conquering that one next, and then there's another one waiting, and it's like but the byproduct is getting the girls. It's like we're just teaching how to attempt to go up. We're just teaching how to get over the fear, and because you're bringing your balls along with you, because you're actually putting in the work to get over your biggest fear, your reward is the beautiful girl eventually after enough reps.
Yeah, it's always a satisfying process to see someone go from absolute beginner to absolutely crushing it. I think it's like being a proud father, and
Yeah.
then I just think that with this, it's not a solo sport. It's an extreme sport and it's a team sport. And I think when you are part of a network and an echo chamber of like-minded individuals, people you can like share your wins with, people who understand it as well. I think it's a lonely existence if you are just doing all this on your own. I do think that actually links to the title of this, like making it as effortless as drinking water. It's that sense of permission that you get by being surrounded with other like-minded guys, or as you've demonstrated, being in a
Mm.
culture which gives you permission, like a place which facilitates the permission. It makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I
I'm
haven't
happy.
I haven't gotten a single like weird reaction from me going up to a girl. Not a single like nervous, scared, weird reaction. Whereas that's common practice in the States. Regardless of how I stop a girl, is like oftentimes there will be some apprehension there. Out here,
Mm.
it's like they smile as soon as I walk up. It's like they know exactly what I'm doing because it's so normalized out here.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy that I learned where I did. Like, I do view learning in the UK was like doing cold approach on hard mode.
Yeah, I
So
bet.
I'm happy that I'm happy that I started where I started. Like, for example, I wouldn't recommend that a beginner start their journey in Bangkok. Like, it's just not the place. Like, it's not even day
Yeah.
game out here. It's just like, oh yeah, and then boom, great, happy days. So I think starting in a place where it is more difficult. Like, I remember when I first went to London, going up and down Oxford Street or Regent Street or around Covent Garden. it's just difficult. It's just a difficult terrain to be approaching girls, but I think it's good. I think it gets points on the board. You learn a lot about yourself. You develop a lot of emotional resilience. And I think that's the only way forward with this. You're just getting in as many reps as possible, giving yourself permission to suck at the start. And I think wherever the guys are located in the world at the moment, I think just doing the best with what you've got. Like, I think it can be easy to get deflated by these sorts of discussions because we're like, listen, position yourself in a place which gives you permission, international travel, live a global lifestyle, which I think should be the end game for most guys who are following this content. Because I think most guys who follow this content, they are radically ambitious young men who want to be conquering the world. So I think that is at the back or maybe the forefront of minds for guys who are watching this. Like they want to travel the world and they want to use this skill set to unlock the world. But I don't think that should be an excuse. If you're living in Stoke or Grimsby or I don't know, wherever the fuck you like, wherever the fuck you are, I think not complaining about just making a good situation out of it because it sets you up for the future. If you can do it in the place that you're at, even if it's not the best of places, you're going to appreciate it when you go to these places. Like when you go to somewhere like Krakow or Belgrade or Bangkok or Panama, it's like, whoa, this is so much easier now. But it wouldn't be easy if you didn't have anything to compare it to. So I think that's an important point. Like, don't cry about where you're located. Like, just make the most of it.
So I'm curious on that note, do you think that it is more beneficial to learn this skill set with a coach in a place like, because you took me to Poland, you took me to Warsaw for a reason, right? And why Poland? Why Warsaw instead of London on Oxford Street, for example? Like why was Poland the place for me?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think personally that you want to find a Goldilocks location for a beginner. Yeah, I personally thought that you would have a better time in Poland compared to London. So if you because we were together for a month, right?
Yeah,
So cost of living comes into play as well.
yeah,
I thought a month in Poland would have been better because I think that somewhere like Warsaw is just a nicer place to be for the month. Um, and I think as well, I think the main reason was because going to Poland essentially guaranteed positive reference experience early on.
yeah,
So it's good to have the harsh blowouts. It's good to get the brutal blowouts, the approaches that don't go your way. However, I think when you are first starting, especially because you are hopping on a plane to a faraway place, you've never been to Europe
yeah.
before, I think London would have been overkill. It's like
Hmm.
throwing you into the lion's den, zipping up and down Oxford Street. You're probably thinking, "Fuck me, this is so hard." So I think Poland provide that Goldilocks location. I think every beginner needs those positive reference experiences early on, even if it's just like, oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend, but I really appreciate this. Thank you for coming over. I think the
Yeah,
rejections in Poland are a lot better than the rejections in London. And I think that's what
yeah.
you need as a beginner. You need that for the beginner's mind. Otherwise, it can feel like even more difficult than it already is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that was huge for me. I remember because like everybody that starts out here, the first god 15, 25, 35 approaches were those rejections, were those blowouts. But yeah, like you mentioned, as I went, it went from like, okay, the girl's not even like stopping to look at me to like, oh, the girl is saying, oh, thank you for coming up to me. Oh, sorry, I have a boyfriend, to finally stopping to talk to me. Even most of the blowouts that I had out there, they would even talk to me for like 30 seconds plus before telling me, oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I have a bus to catch, blah, blah, blah. But I agree with you. Yeah. Even because like even me having built the skill set, going into new countries like Cyprus, like Panama, and if I were to get blown out brutally, I still feel like that brutal blowout, even with so many approaches under my belt where the girl doesn't even look and she keeps walking. So I can only
Mm.
imagine what a beginner would feel. They might just quit after day one if they go 30 in a row on Oxford Street and everybody just keeps walking. So
Yeah, I think that it depends on the individual as well because I do think you would have been able to handle London. I think with all these coaching experiences, it's important to make it as individually tailored as possible. Um, but I think you would have been able to handle it. I think you had that emotional resilience already developed from sales, so you could
Yeah.
transfer that over. But yeah, I agree. I think Warsaw is just a nicer place to be as well. Where's next on your travel list? Out of curiosity.
Well, it was supposed to be Argentina before I got laid off, so we'll have to figure that out. I've got to sort some money together. Yeah, that's a big portion of what of my decision making now is going to be where can I go? You know, I was thinking about. I guess I'll think out loud now that we're on the topic. I was thinking about that, and I was heavily considering paying my lease break fee, which would be like 2 months worth of rent, and just moving all my either selling all my stuff or moving it all into storage and just traveling around. You know, like applying for jobs in different locations because I could get a full-time job that's sales related again, but I just remember, I mean, I would message you individually about how dissatisfied I was with showing up to this little 8 hours a day sales job and making just enough to scrape by so I could just about pay for my rent so that I can show up to work the next day. Whereas if I were just to cut out as many of my expenses as possible, then it would be pretty much the same thing. I'd just be breaking even, but I'd be able to at least go places and travel places. So maybe a
Oh, you mate, you
conversation
should
for
you should you should do that. Fuck yeah! Like
yeah,
if it makes like if it's the same financially, if you do have an option to go elsewhere, I think that's the best thing that you could do because then you're applying pressure to yourself in a good way. I think obviously it's your life, do what you want to do, but I think if you were to position yourself in a new location and you were in this inspired place, because obviously you've been in Panama, like you were saying, like you're on that boat in the ocean, you were like, right,
yeah,
this is the life that I want to live. And I think just even being in Panama for a week, that's going to give you
yeah,
so many empire visions to actually create the life that you want to live. I personally, this is turning into a fucking coaching call. I
yes,
personally think that's the best thing that you could do if you can position yourself in a new location, mate. Your life becomes an adventure then, and you'll just work it out as well. Do you know what I mean? I think if you were to stay in the same place, the same mindsets might still exist, and it might start to become comfortable. But you know that's my advice. It's your life. Do what you want to do.
of course, yeah. No, we'll see it. We'll have to see how it ends up playing out because yeah, I was thinking pretty deeply about that because a lot of the money that I'm going to be making from doing my Amazon deliveries is going to be going towards my rent so that I can keep going and doing Amazon delivery so I can keep paying my rent. And I'm like, why am I following this cycle when I can just sell everything and just decide to be a digital nomad kind of a thing? Even if I get another job, it's like there's no need for me to stay in the same place, especially when I figured out that what makes me excited is now having this superpower in my pocket. What makes me excited is going to new places and literally using this skill to integrate myself into whatever culture I'm at. So yeah, definitely something that I'll be talking to you more about in the future.
Yeah, I found with all this stuff, like taking a leap of faith, you know, the universe
Yeah,
rewards action takers. Like fortune favors the bold. I think as well, like because you're young, you can afford to take the risks. Like
yeah,
even if it doesn't work out, like what have you lost? Not that
yeah.
much, you know. So
Not
it's like
much at all. There's
nah,
not much in the account.
if you're like 70 years old, I'd be thinking, yeah, but yeah, I think it's important to make life exciting and yeah, you radiate an energy about you when you're someone who's happy to take those risks. So yeah, no, good. I think this has been a good stream. Was there anything else you wanted to add before
No,
we
I
say au
think we
revoir?
think we just about covered it. Yeah, no, and honestly, all we had was that one glitch at the beginning. I think that was pretty solid. Lobby
Yeah,
Wi-Fi did it for us. Yeah,
the lobby Wi-Fi. I mean, yeah, the pool was sketchy as shit
yeah, it was.
when we were streaming from there. I was like, oh, this is not gonna go for much longer.
Yeah. No, within the
But
first 5 minutes, I cut out 7 times when I was at the pool. So it's
yeah, we
ridiculous.
just got that one Chewbacca gurgle, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's gonna be a shock to people.
And
There'll be one guy listening to this. He'll be having a shit on the toilet, and all of a sudden it's like, he's like, what the fuck?
hey, it'll be the SMMA guy. Watch, it'll be him.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure he's watching.
The guy who came on the stream was like, "Hey, can you give me some advice on SMMA?" I'm like, "Wrong algorithm, bro."
Yeah, bro, wrong live. Swipe up, bro. Swipe up. Next
Oh,
live.
so that's so funny. I don't know how these people find these streams, but anyway,
Yeah, who knows?
but yeah, no, no, pleasure speaking with you. Yeah, enjoy the
As
rest of your
always.
time in Panama. yeah, I like these like multinational live streams. I'm in Bangkok, you're in Panama, different fucking
Nuts.
time zones, different locations, everything's different, but yeah, we're still able
Nuts.
to cross pollinate and connect. I think the power of the fucking internet, man.
Yeah, seriously. No, we're practicing what we preach too. All we talk about is an international lifestyle, and here we are living it out. So it's great.
That's it. That's it. But yeah, I'll put your links down below so that people can go over and follow your journey as well. And yeah, I'll speak with you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, have a good day. Stay
Bye.
sexy.